This is Lil Bush, and it is one of the worst things that Comedy Central has ever put to air. Every aspect of this show works against it. It came out in 2007. That means that this show was never going to have any longevity, because Bush was about to be out of office. But even if there were no term limits, this show would have still been terrible because it had fossils of jokes already. People had been making fun of George Bush using the same criticisms for 7 years, and they expected that to be funny for a new TV show on Comedy Central. This show was expected to be disposable in its design, which means that the creators had very little confidence in what they were creating. And the concept on its own is kind of confusing anyway. Wikipedia says that it takes place in an alternate reality where George H.W. Bush is still president and George W. Bush is an elementary school student with members of his cabinet. Which is fine if you're gonna do an alternate history, but why would you age down someone for no reason? Like, George W. Bush could have still been an adult in this. The only childlike thing he does is go to an elementary school. And despite this being an alternate reality where his father is still president, the show treats George W. Bush as if all the stuff that happened during his presidency still happened. And still makes fun of some of the stuff that he did during his presidency. And because W is not president in this, it kind of takes away from any of the humor that they wanted to have, because most of the stuff that you're even able to make fun of him for is stuff that he did while he was president. And before you say, well, they could make other jokes that are not making fun of the president, they don't do that at all. The only jokes that they tell in this are making fun of George Bush, or his father. But to better understand what I'm talking about, I think we should watch an actual episode from the show.
And before you say that I don't like this show just because I'm a butthurt George Bush supporter, I haven't liked a single president since Eisenhower. And even the most die-hard George Bush hater would probably agree with me that this show is terrible.
Wow, I bet that theme song took a lot of effort to write. Imagine if I had a theme song like that.
Hey, it's Braden, 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 hey, it's Braden
Hey, sports, it's in the game.
R-A-D-E-N, it's Braden, it's Braden Mountain, it's Braden.
Tonight's episode, the one where, I forgot. Watch it yourself.
Well, that's really informative. Yes, I picked the one episode to review that did not have a description of what was going to actually happen. Heck, the writers are so lazy they probably forgot to write an introduction to this episode. To be fair though, George Bush did have a propensity to forget what he was going to say.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
And as much blabbering on about this show as I've done, for the first minute and a half, nothing happens in this episode. We are first exposed to the plot by Barack Obama.
If you're so brave, why don't you spend the night in the attic of the White House?
And why would I do that? You don't know? Of course I do. Now tell me.
And so they make up a dumb story with some dumb jokes added in.
And they decide to spend the night in the attic of the White House.
Well, it's almost 6:30. I think I could do about 10 minutes of the wheel. After that, the only vowels I'll be buying are Z's.
Now, I can't really tell if that was supposed to be a joke or if the writers really don't know that Z is not a vowel.
George, look at this old ghost story I found. It's called the Constitution. It says that there should be separation of church and state.
Yikes!
That only Congress has the power to declare war.
Hold me,
That government should be run with a series of checks and balances. Ah!
Ha ha ha, get it? George Bush did some unconstitutional things during his presidency.
We are the ghosts of the Founding Fathers!
Yeah, I forgot to mention, this is supposed to be a parody of Scooby-Doo. And the writers got it right on the nose when they figured out that their audience was really stupid. Because as soon as you find out that this is supposed to be a parody of Scooby-Doo, you know immediately who the ghosts of the Founding Fathers are going to be. Like, you know it's going to be the Democrats, because they're the only people besides our main characters that are even shown in the episode. And if you got mad that I just told you who it ended up being, number one, why are you getting mad that I just spoiled Lil Bush to you? I actually saved you 11 minutes for that, for a terrible show. And number two, how could you not figure that out from when I told you that this was going to be a Scooby-Doo parody?
You and your family have to stop trampling on the words that this country was founded on.
Oh, wait a minute. You're the dude on my allowance bills.
Oh, get it? George Bush is stupid.
It was not always a given that the United States and America would have a close relationship.
And George Washington is headless in this for some reason.
Be good.
That creature was trying to take my head.
A ghost of George Washington's headless corpse. I knew this day would come. You get lost, mister.
Also, the voice acting in this is just terrible. He sounds like he's trying way too hard to imitate Quagmire from Family Guy.
Now we're going to do to you what you and your family have been doing to the Bill of Rights.
Oh, phew. You just gotta ignore us. Cool. If you don't like what we tell you to believe in, we'll kill you.
No, we're going to trample you.
Oh boy, a musical number, because the theme song was so good.
Yeah, Bob, there's a bunch of ghosts up there trying to get us.
Well, it certainly is an odd night. Now, I can barely function if I don't get a solid 17. So, let's all try to get some rest now, huh?
Giggity, giggity, giggity.
Wait, little George. This piece of the ghost shirt says it was made this year.
From all recycled materials.
Union label.
Yeah, the writers are probably thinking, oh crap, this is a Scooby-Doo parody. We've got to put a clue in here somewhere. Just pull one out of thin air.
Wait a minute, gang. I'm getting a funny feeling those ghosts aren't the real deal.
Are you getting that feeling because me and Little Rummy just said it?
Yep. Now let's go bust those ghosts the best way we know how. Illegal wiretapping.
Yeah, apparently they had to explain that joke. I swear the show is treating its audience like they're retarded.
Now it's time to unmask these continental con men and find out who really founded the United States. The little Democrats! I should have known.
We were just trying to teach you a lesson about trampling on our civil liberties.
Now, here's a tip when writing a mystery or a parody of one. If you want your audience to be surprised by the end, don't have the reveal be multiple people. The more characters you're unmasking, the more you're going to have to write into the story to compensate for that so that you can keep your audience guessing. The more of the cast that is the culprit of the mystery, the easier it is to guess, because they just take up a sheer larger percentage of the cast.
But I do have one question for the little Dems. Which one of you played the headless George Washington?
But none of us was playing George Washington!
Side note, I'm pretty sure that that's the music from the Downey Unstoppables commercial.
Unstoppables by Downey. For a fresh too feisty to quit.
Of course, the link to the song will be in the description. But other than that, that was Little Bush. It was one of the most frustrating reviews I've had to make so far, because it seemed like the creators of this and the writers did not care at all about the product that they were making. And the concept didn't really have much potential at the time that it was created. If you tried to make fun of George Bush around 2007 or 2008, you would most likely be telling a joke that has already been told millions of times. And if you decide to build a show around that, then you're not going to last very long. And I'm amazed that they got the 2 seasons that they did manage to get anyway.
I'm Braden Boutwell, and if you have something you want me to take a look at, please let me know and I will try to review it. Thank you and have a good one.
Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.